All right, Carrie, where were we?
The next department is facilities maintenance, and I know Mike does have a PowerPoint he would like to show you on the projects, but do you want to go through his actual budget line items first?
Okay. What you guys want? Do you want to do the line items first or do the PowerPoint?
I just have a quick question on a couple of the line items. So that, the capital equipment, you'll present that separately, is that right, Mike, outside of the projects?
Capital equipment?
Yes.
Do
you want to?
No, I mean, I need to go ahead and address it now if you've got a concern. Under the capital equipment, we had requested one carry-all 500 turf, and I'd given each one of y'all handouts on this within your budget book. This right here would be utilized around through the grounds, downtown area. We constantly manhandle a lot of our supplies around our three main pieces of property down around the district courts, sheriff's department, and courthouse. The request would also include the attachments that goes with it. Whenever we went through budget presentation, Judge Ware did ask me to look at gas versus electrical. We would rather stay with an electrical cart. It'd be easier for us to maintain. We won't have to worry about a motor. Very similar to what you would see on a golf course for us to move our items throughout the properties. We have HR, I put it in there for you, remember?
Did you see him perk up, Mike?
It was his idea.
Oh, you got it.
I can borrow that every once in a while, right?
We also had two vehicles we requested. Let me go to that. We currently have a 1997 F-150 pickup that's 7 years old. This was one of my older vehicles. Last year, you had given us money within our vehicle account to put into that vehicle plus some other additional vehicles. We found out after looking into this matter, it would be better not to waste the money on that vehicle, so we've requested a new one. The other pickup is a 2009 F-150 that we had acquired from the sheriff's department. There's a reason they get rid of these vehicles, y'all. We've had nothing but motor problems ever since we've had it.
Haven't learned your lesson yet, have you?
So we're asking for that vehicle to be replaced. It has quite a few miles on it as well in excess of 150,000. So we're asking to get rid of those two vehicles. Instead of bringing in the large 3/4 ton vehicles, we'll bring in the F-150s, the smaller vehicles. Another reason why I was looking at this to get a new vehicle is when I do a lot of traveling, I always rent a vehicle. And if I could bring in a smaller vehicle for me to travel to and from, that would also save the cost on renting vehicles. So that's one of the justifications. The other one is to replace these two vehicles that's just worn out.
So I have a question on the vehicles and kind of the fleet inventory. If you'll help me understand this process, especially as departments take vehicles that other departments don't use today. And I'm looking at David too. So let's say that my fleet is a fleet of 5 vehicles and the sheriff's department is getting rid of one and you say, we'll take that one. We could sure use it. And so now my fleet is 6 vehicles. And so then it's addressed to the court that one of my vehicles needs to be repaired and the fleet has essentially changed versus one of my core 5 vehicles that is really my core fleet. Do you understand? Like there are 2 different questions of this is my core fleet and this vehicle is no longer in service versus I took this one from the sheriff's department and it was kind of on the top, if you will. I'll use it since no one else is going to use it. I don't know what that process is like.
We never, when we bring it to you, we never add anyone's fleet without your permission. So if we come to you and say this department wants the sheriff's office vehicle, they're always giving us one back in return. So we never increase the fleet size of the department whenever we're doing that.
Yeah, I'm looking to get rid of these vehicles.
Right, the 2.
Even when the sheriff has some or there's some other departments, when they turn them in, We go to all those departments and say, here's the vehicles that have been turned in for auction. That department, all the departments have the opportunity to come evaluate those and decide if that vehicle is better than the one they already have. And then we bring it to you as commissioner, which that's a policy thing. That's not a requirement by law, and that may be something I ask in the future to get rid of. But they come to us and we get your permission to switch out their older vehicle with this newer vehicle that's come down from somewhere else in the fleet. So
And they
we're
get-
never increasing the size of the fleet unless you specifically approve that and they touch it.
Okay, so in that scenario, if Mike would have taken this one on from the department, per the process, I would be safe in assuming one was let go through the fleet, if you will. Okay,
Let me back up to address that. Back in 2000, when we moved into this building, we had acquired, I think it's 2 additional vehicles, some older cars to help us get around here because we was traveling further. We built the JP3 out west of town, was needing an additional vehicle. So at one point, we had older cars, and we just kind of been trading these out through the years. That one F-150 right there, the older vehicle, that was the brown pickup that you see downstairs. That's one I've had for many years.
that's the 97?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And then the carry-all utility vehicle, this is a new,
This is like a lawnmower or a piece of equipment that we would add to our grounds maintenance department in order to assist them on their job duties.
and so do those type of vehicles with the dollar amount, do those get added to the fleet or inventory listing?
It's not street ready,
No, okay,
just like a lawnmower is what I would
okay.
presume. Carrie, Judge Ware, did you cut anything on my budget?
Personnel,
Do I?
the personnel that you requested has
Personnel.
been removed, and the telephone trunk lines has been pulled out.
Okay. Personnel that I've requested, I have requested 2 additional personnel, basically being custodians for the nighttime. Through the years, we've worked to acquire 3 for the daytime to put in one of each of our major buildings. One of those also floats to the outer buildings around through the county. I'm looking to ask the court for an additional, I believe it's a custodian 2 and a custodian 1. Looking to move some people up that's been at that lower position for a while, plus also bringing one. Custodians are our hardest positions to fill. We've had some open for 8-9 months. We've just recently gotten them filled. We need to get back on our floor care program, something that's been put off for many years. If you look at the number of custodians that I have throughout the county, you've got 3 people on a good night that cleans this entire building. And that's restrooms, just doing the very best that they can. Custodians has always been a department that we've been short in through the years.
So the custodian 1 would be one that would be just joining the county.
Introductory level.
Mike, I have a question. As we start to evaluate all the property, and I'm thinking of our strategic planning conversations, that we start looking countywide at these facilities and not really knowing what that future might look like, do you think it's premature to ask for some of these positions? Would that be a better conversation
No,
next year?
because what I'm asking for is to address our current needs.
And the flooring needs, is that,
Pardon me?
you spoke to flooring?
Somebody to where we can turn that one person loose. The person that does our floors right now is full-time. Whenever we have someone on vacation, we have someone sick, that person goes to one of the 3 buildings, fills in. There's sometimes to where I only have maybe 1 or 2 people that cleans the county courthouse or the district courts per night.
Okay, the total number of custodians that we have, that of the 3 facilities that you're referring to, is how many?
Let me look here. Our day lead custodian, we bring him in, he splits 2 shifts instead of having them strictly for the night shift. They come in day and night. So we have What do we have, Carrie, 10 on the
10.
days?
Yes, I
10?
have
10.
Plus your 2 foremen and your
Yeah, the
one
ones that are, yeah, that does not include the ones on the daytime. Strictly nighttime right there.
So there are 10 total
10,
tonight.
yes. And
Those for-
the foreman splits between the two. And Mercy, to go back to your question a while ago, with all due respect, if for some reason you move people to this building, another building's taken down, those custodians would come to this building. Santa Fe building is twice the amount of square footage as either the district courts or the county courthouse. The outer properties being JP3, Bowie Annex, the county extension buildings, these 3 buildings get cleaned during the daytime by our day custodians.
And Mike, on your line item for janitorial supplies, I'm assuming that's just a increase in the supplies that are used? 340.
Let me look, I don't believe I had one on.
Oh, no, I'm sorry, there's not an increase there.
No, we
I
have
looked at
no
the wrong
increase on that particular line item.
And then Carrie, on the cell phone and allowances, would that be moved to the general operating like the other ones?
Yes, as you'll see under the department request, it was up under
Oh, okay.
the salaries, and then we've moved it.
Okay,
So you pulled it out, okay.
Yes.
then, is there anything in non-capital? I don't think.
No non-capital. The Santa Fe building is the biggest increase I have on any building. Also, just to make you aware, Carrie, did y'all include anything on utilities this year, especially on Excel?
No, we did not make any changes.
I've made each one of you aware that we'll have the Excel Energy, you'll have the increases passed on to you for the fuel consumption. That does not pertain to the electrical consumption or usage. That very well could be a cost you could be faced with this past November. The Santa Fe building, let me get to it. The biggest increase out of that, you had part of your elevator modernization.
Mike, are you going through your project list now? Is that what you're going through?
No,
Okay.
this is just strictly still my building, within my buildings. The Santa Fe building, I have 2 line items there that I've included an additional cost of $44,140. This is for your elevator consultant, your structural consultant to carry us into the upcoming project for which we hope to start here pretty soon. Another line item that I increased was to replace 2 lock and bar boilers with 2 rate packs estimated at $32,000 each for a total of $64,000.
And what line item is that in, Mike? I'm sorry, I'm not.
I'm not for sure what you're looking at. I'm looking at my book.
Yeah.
I think where the,
Where we had increased this on our building.
Yes, I'm just trying to follow here on the dollar amount since this will become the
right.
proposed.
I think if you look at the department request amount, the $213,000, that's what Mike is addressing, where the increase from the 114 of the current budget. And under the proposed, that does include the projects.
Okay, thank you.
Does anyone else have any questions?
Since we are on the Santa Fe, would it be worth going through some of your,
Well, I've got a presentation if
Okay.
you want to get into projects. It takes about probably 20, 30 minutes if y'all want to do that. You want to do it now or what?
Are we through with the questions on the line items?
yes.
Okay, yeah, let's go ahead and do it, Mike.
You want to do that?
Yeah, we'll give you 10 minutes, okay?
I bet I can make it through it. All I need at the end is a yes. You want to come?
Oops. There's popcorn. So Mike, the custodians, when they travel to like JP3 and the outlying buildings, they use the vehicles that you have?
Yes, sir. Yeah, in case I need it, I just charged it this week.
Oh, okay. Just want to make sure we got plug-ins right for you.
It's cutting into his time.
As we get ready to go through these projects, there'll be 20 of them presented to you in total. I have several elected officials, department heads that would like to speak on behalf of the project. One project that is not included in the, this right here is your district court's sheriff's department project that we know as a big hole. It is not on my current list. I believe Kerry, y'all will address that within budget or some funds later on. Okay. This first project is your Santa Fe Auditorium. Your ceiling and cornice repairs, an area right here directly to y'all's left up above the David and them, then kind of right back behind Scott right there. Another one's right above Julie's head, Carrie's head right up here. These are ceiling repairs that need to be done to the auditorium. The building is currently 14 years old. We're preparing to enter into the 15th year. The building has a lot of repairs within this area right here. We've got some plaster repairs behind us and work to be done up around the stage. This is just to kind of keep the maintenance up on this here. These areas damaged right here in this particular building was created by some water leaks that had occurred upstairs that just flat got away from us. Since then, we've taken additional measures to make sure it did not happen again. One good thing about the ceilings that's located directly above you, it's a resin material, it's not a sheetrock. That material could get wet all day. The only thing that would be damaged would be the actual paint finish. So at a project number one, what I'm requesting of the Commissioners Court is $27,280 to come in and to prepare and to redo this ceiling within the auditorium.
Mike, can I ask a question
Yes.
on that specifically because I think of the historic building and really to maintain that. Are there any funds with THC for those type of restoration repairs, if you will?
No, not through the Texas Historic Commission. Only thing that they have funding for could be on the courthouse side for additional work that you can, over and beyond. Not on this particular building right here.
And why is that?
This building right here was funded with federal monies under an IST grant that was put forth. Through the years, I've worked with the Texas Historic Commission for about the last 17, 18 years. We looked at different avenues in order to get funding out there to help these older buildings. One of them was a ballpark. That was one of our big issues we looked at. We get money there, they said no. Santa Fe building, it's your building. We're asking you to maintain it per the federal guidelines under the preservation. So no, there is no money out there.
Not even on the federal side? No. Any federal? Okay, thank you.
Project number two, and then Sherry, this right here will be. Okay. Project number two. If you take into consideration all of the millwork down on the first floor, what you're looking at right here is the bulkhead. You see all the paint finishes or the lacquer finishes that is coming off. We have found out that this right here was due to condensation beneath the bulkhead coming up, actually pushing the finish off. We first thought it was the windows that was leaking. We went through all kinds of tests and actually pushing the finish up. Sherry, would you like to address anything?
This is a project that we've asked Mike about for several years. I'd go to Mike, I'd go to Nick. Is there anything we can do about this? Because is just getting worse and worse. You see it along the sidewalk as you're walking beside the building. It just looks nasty. And with this being a historical building, taxpayers coming into my office, it'd just be nice if it didn't look quite so shabby.
And is that all an exterior picture, or is it?
That's,
This right here is strictly looking through the you're inside the building, looking
Yeah.
at the bulkhead, the wooden
Okay.
ledges around the first floor.
Okay.
but when you walk outside the window as
You
you're
can
coming
see
in, it looks even worse than really that picture shown. But it is a project that we've asked Mike about for several years.
Okay.
So project number 2 is, would include the tax office, ticket office, the sheriff's security area. This would be all your perimeter bulkheads and all wooden doors on the first floor to be completely refinished. Cost of $11,319.
Mike?
Yes.
And this work that primarily is in the tax office, and that area on the ticket office and the like, that would be work that could be done during normal working hours, and would it have to be an area you have
It'll
to
be after
exclude?
hours due to the lacquer material that we're gonna use, all the sanding that's gonna have to happen. I base these costs right here off the contractor that y'all currently approved on our painting refinishing. We went out and actually obtained these proposals. Some of this work right here will have to be done after hours on weekends due to the smells and dust control. Project number 3 is also the Santa Fe Tax Office, Security Ticket Office. This right here addresses all the wood repairs you notice down around your base and your toe board down at the bottom. This right here is just another view of the bulkheads that's on the east side of the building. Project number 3, we're estimating at $10,824. Courthouse number 4. This right here is kind of a wide variety of the projects. I've given each one of you a handout this morning as well that's going to be breaking these out. This will address the repairs within the entire building, designated areas within the building, and a lot of common areas. I ask that you please understand, you're in this building right now fixing to start 15 years. Your finishes are getting worn out. There's one of those points there, it's a little overdue, that a lot of painting and plaster work needs to be done. Project number 4, this right here is a picture. As you can tell, some of the plaster finishes is coming off right here due to water that it actually was created by a water leak that was up above on the fan coil unit. The area that you see right here is actually on a ceiling area within the purchasing department due to a leak that was up above as well. Here's one of the most common things you will find in the building. If you will look at your plaster, you see the paint finishes bubbling through here. This building has what's called calcimine, originally put on the building in 1928 through 1930. Calcimine was a very low maintenance item. They would actually mix the paint and soap together. You put it on, it gave you a very durable finish. It wasn't meant to be painted for many years. We did the project. If you did not come in and actually kill that surface out with an oil-based material, and you went and skimmed over it with a finish of gypsum or something like that and then painted it, over a period of time it's going to turn loose. That's what you see a lot of this in the building on some of these areas. So, the handout sheet that I've given each one of y'all will kind of address some of this as far as an additional breakout. I've also got it here. Second floor, specified in common areas. I had my staff go through and take blueprints. They walked the entire building from office to office. If I say room 202 is going to get painted, that may not necessarily mean the entire office. That's the worst area within there in order to make the room look more appropriate. It'll make it look better. So your second floor, you're looking at $4,470. And Mercy, to go back to your question earlier, you may want to put some of this off not knowing, what's going to happen on any of our buildings. Floors 3, 6, and 7, this is specified areas in the common, $7,495. Fourth floor, basically the same issue for $4,985. Floors 9 and 10 are your two costly floors. You have a lot of metal door frames throughout the area, the common areas. Every common area on those two floors right there needs to be painted due to the high traffic that they have of the public going through there, touching walls, touching everything. Penthouse, this right here is all your fascia and wall soffit areas up there is $8,870. So to repaint the designated areas and some of the common areas in the building, you're looking at $53,015.
I think I have a question on
Yes.
some of the water damaged areas.
Yes.
Is that covered by insurance?
Probably not due to deductible.
The deductible will be $25,000 per occurrence, so it probably.
It's all one occurrence though, right? Just kidding.
You know, we have this equipment, anything can happen. We've had some leaks get away from us. It's a major beast on taking care of this. It has created water leaks within the building due to the equipment.
Mike?
Yes.
I have a question on the slide before. So taking into account the discussion of the buildings, if you had to prioritize, and you have it on the handout A through F, if you had to prioritize, these are the floors that need to happen regardless this year.
Nine items, D and E, being your 9th and 10th floors, not knowing what's going to happen on the lower portion of it.
Okay.
13, the penthouse area up there, if we do not keep up with it, it's just going to continue to get further away. If I had to put a priority, I'd put items D and E as number 1 and item F as number 2.
Okay, thank you.
Next project, we've been looking at this for several years. This right here is your external fire escapes on the building. Our insurance company came through with us about 4 years ago. We looked at it and just kind of been putting this off. They're in very bad shape under the original restoration. We went through and basically, at that time, we had sanded them, scraped them, primed them, and painted them. So for this project right here, in order to prepare it, put on an industrial primer and an industrial paint, you're looking at $49,800. I can tell you right now that cost right there is actually up around $65,000. We have a contractor that just wants to keep the work. You know, he's willing to work with Potter County because he wants to do the work. So that's a proposal that you was presented last year, I believe.
Were we the year before as well? I'm remembering.
Yes,
at least
we've
two.
addressed this several years, and it was basically right at that total. Project number 6 is very critical. Up on top of the building, we have some 14-inch I-beams up there. These hold up the 2 cooling towers up on top of the building. Back years ago, we had our cooling towers actually went through an issue. They actually got froze. That area right there from the bottom of your beam, let me get this mouse down. From that beam down to the bottom of that roof right there is probably about 16 inches. I had one of my gentlemen at one time was running these cooling towers in 12-degree weather. We had that much ice up there on top of that building. It just kept building up into the bottom of the tires. That's what helped damage a lot of the structural steel right here. This structural steel right here is tied into your entire building steel going up through the building. If we do not get these right here repainted, eventually that steel will rust through and we're going to lose those 2 cooling tires up there, and you'll be doing a restructure on top of the building just to hold this equipment up.
So the project that you have proposed is the prepare and repaint for this project?
Repaint the steel.
And so what will the paint do other than cosmetic?
The
Cosmetically,
paint-
it would look different?
No, we'll come in and use a anemic paint. You remember the $400 or $500 paint used on the county courthouse?
Oh, I
We
remember
got some
that.
left. No, we're using a high-quality commercial primer over there. It'll be a red steel primer. We will apply it first. It'll be sandblasted, prepped properly. We'll go back over, we'll apply the industrial primer on it, and then we will top coat it.
So that helps sustain the composition
Yes.
of it versus just cosmetically it will
Correct.
look different?
Correct.
Thank you.
So we're looking at just $7,370 for that.
Did you say just?
Just. That's a very cheap compared to what it would cost to replace it. Project 7, this right here is actually the picture of the door down here on the east fire stair tower. You can see a lot of the rust that's happening on these Durnotic bronze finishes. We need to get these areas replaced. If not, eventually we're going to lose this cast iron and it'll rust through and through. Project number 7 is estimated at $1,320.
And it's the same type of paint and for the same
Yes.
reason? Okay.
Yes. Project number 8, Santa Fe terracotta. This is your top spheres up on top of the building. When you're looking at the top of the building, you notice the Santa Fe signs up top. You'll notice these spheres all around the edge. They'll also know them on the lower roof level right directly beneath that. Back whenever we did the preservation project here in the building, we went through and did very little work on these spheres. I'm gonna go to another photo. You see these dark spots right here on this face? That's an actual repair that was done years ago. Within the 1-year warranty period, we had a company out of Dallas that came in and actually did the work. Within the 1-year warranty period, we had a lot of the finish come off, very similar to what you see up there. We brought them back in. They repaired the work. Probably about 2.5 years after the warranty was out and everything, it continued to happen again. So basically what you're seeing right now is all of this right here, this area right here, that is the terracotta. Terracotta is a man-made stone made in New Mexico originally. It was brought into the Texas Panhandle. This was glazed. If you do not get the finish put back on this, that eventually will turn to sand. In turn, creates leaks within the buildings. So this is very critical to pursue this here. Think of a brick. You fire your brick, you fire pottery. So here's what I'm presenting to you at this time. This is a multi-phase project. The existing conditions assessment would cost $10,780. This would be done by architects, as we have to have a preservation architect on board. Let me explain this. Since 2000 to now, we've learned a lot about the technology and proper procedures to restore terracotta. You've seen that happen on the county courthouse. Item number 2 is to prepare the construction documents, probable cost, and the Texas Historic Commission review of $11,285. Items number 3 on the bidding and number 4, the construction administration, we do not need that right now. So out of the $43,375, what I'm asking the Commissioners Court to do this year is to allow me to proceed forth with steps 1 and 2 in order to bring you a cost next year of what the actual terracotta repairs would be.
So this year, you would just be assessing it and starting to really look at the kind of the lay of the land of what will be needed.
Yes, and the construction documents, plus we have to have the CDs, construction documents to present to the Texas Historic Commission.
And that's for all the projects that,
That's for the project up on top of the building up there on anything dealing with terracotta. Project number 9. Building, 15 years old. Sealants, caulking wears out anywhere between 12 and 15 years. This right here is some of the sealants around some of your windows. When you have this condition, this is a result. This is addressed by some of the painting within the building. We do not need to attempt to correct that unless you're going to redo the sealants on the outside of the building. The project number 9 on the sealants is one of these to be determined. It's going to be very costly. This building alone has 728 windows. That does not include your windows on the first floor. So I could probably get an average cost of what it's going to cost per window in order to remove the sealants and to reapply it, if the court wants me to pursue that. Okay. Project number 10. We have several of these throughout the building. We have some of the windows that's been actually broken. I'm asking the commissioners to give me the funds to replace these. We have 3 windows total, estimated at $300 each, $9,900 total. The windows that's put in this building, we actually designed them to where they could be replaced from the inside, not the outside. So that's where you're saving a lot of cost. Project number 11, your most costly project. Just to kind of take you through this real quick, what you're looking at right here is the motor sets for the 1928 elevator equipment that's in the building. This right here is just a picture of that armature, that piece, that, what you're looking at right there, each one, we're averaging, things weighs probably about 7,000 pounds. So this is the old equipment that's operating your elevators upstairs right now. That's the brake mechanism that tells it when to stop. Your armatures, every one of these little coil windings right here, and there's 6 of them per motor set, those things weigh 900 pounds apiece. This right here is the controllers that we put in back in 1999. These will be completely replaced with modern ones for today. So you've seen what the old elevators look like. This is what your new will look like. A lot different in size, a lot different appearance. One of the things that we need to do on this project is we'll keep a gearless drive elevator intact. Gearless drive are used for speed. If you got a high rise, you need to stay with the gearless elevators. Your projected cost for this right here is $1,394,702. We will continue to do value engineering all the way through the project. That does include the electrical, the structural, everything that we need to look at.
Mike, I have a question on
Yes.
that project. How does that tie to the existing elevator projects that we've taken on this year?
The shift project is what y'all took on early. That was what we'd asked y'all to do, was give us the funds to get the shift back in place, car number 2 out here. That's what I addressed earlier this morning. This shift right here can be reused on the next phase. That was one of the critical elements. When we move forward with this, we expect each elevator phase to take about 3 to 4 months. We're not for sure until they get into it. But what we've currently done right now is a very, very small portion of what they're going to do. Once you get into this project, you'll see all equipment completely replaced up in the elevator room, what you've seen. You'll see all the ropes going up and down through the hoistways. The interior cab of your elevator is going to look just like the county courthouse, minus the flooring that you see there. So you're going to walk away from this with basically brand new elevators to carry you into the future. Fire recall, life safety is something very critical that we have to address in this. The question's been asked, why can we not do one here and do one another here, another? You have to address your life safety at that time once you start the project.
Oh, that was my question that you just answered. So basically, the process of all these projects, in the end, especially this one here, that we have to initiate the continuation. Once we start, we have to complete the whole process.
Definitely on your elevator modernization, once you start it, you need to continue forward with it. I highly recommend that. If not, it's going to cost more in the long run. One of the biggest costs right here is you're looking at probably anywhere $3,500 to $4,000 a day just for a crane to sit out here on this parking lot. It's the only way to get this equipment in and out of the building. That's very costly.
And we're sure there's no federal historic dollars.
We'll tell you about the treasure we found after a while. Item number 12, this right here was presented by Gary Jackson. I heard he's not here today. Basically, the bulletproof glass that he wants to replace within his main lobby out there is replacing the counter, the entire frame, the bulletproof glass. He wants to get rid of the trays and basically put in a level 1 bulletproof surround sound frame with the glass with the mullion in the middle to separate it, with 2 secured boxes like you'd see at the post office or like we put in the Court of Appeals years ago. The cost that came in on this, Gary had asked me to remove it. He feels he can get it done cheaper, so I'm just making you aware between now and the end of your budget process, he may be coming to you, asking you to please consider his cost that he's come up with. I don't know if David's aware of that. David and I have worked on all these projects together, and where he's getting his cost, I cannot tell you.
So what is your call, Mike?
What was that, 11? It was around $11,000, I believe, in order to do that.
Okay.
He says he could do it a lot cheaper.
And that's not currently in the budget, is that right?
No.
Gary? Okay. All right.
So, the Facilities and Equipment Committee.
Let me, that cost, bulletproof glass project was $14,517. The next project that Gary Jackson had out there was in his courtroom. This was what the Commissioners Court had allowed Haven Dysart to build whenever he was currently in office. Out there was his own bench. Basically what Gary's asking for is to take this upper counter that's right here, remove it further back toward the gallery, and extend this writing platform right here. In order to do that, you're going to have to remove both ends of the cabinetry in order to make this work. The cost for that was $3,217. He says he can do it cheaper. So I'll let him present that to the court. But he'll have to go through us in order to do it. So that cost is to be determined as well. Project 14, his jury room walls, I definitely agree with this request. This is his jury room. He has no insulation within the walls in order to give the acoustic or soundproofing when he has jurors in there is valued at $1,873. Restrooms, project 15, he has some painting that needs to be done out there. The building is getting on up there in the years. His request is to paint all common areas, judge's office, clerks, constable, basically everything out there except their storage room. Estimated cost is $5,390. Okay, your next biggest project. This right here is Fire Station 3. I'm going to let Pat and Richard come up here in a few minutes and they'll explain to you their justification behind it. I'm just going to kind of carry you through some of the issues that we're addressing out there. Fire Station 6 located off of 136 Fritch Highway. This building used to be a trucking company many years ago. Potter County had wound up with it. Let me tell you, these gentlemen have done the best they can for what they've had in order to make these facilities work for them. This right here is looking directly northwest. This is some of their offices through there, and you can notice nothing has really been finished out, a lot of unfinished, many different doors. There's just a lot of uniqueness about this facility. You're looking back toward the red doors, your front door on your left, you're looking directly back toward the kitchen. Basically, all the drywall on that entire wall right there will be completely removed on that north wall. This is just a little closer up. You got more of a bedroom type door versus a office door right here. None of your door facings put on. Some of the north wall right here were, through the years, they've done their very best in order to do an encasement for the windows out there. I believe at one time somebody ran through the wall and damaged it. It's what kind of caved us in years ago.
Before we got it.
Before you got it. They've been some drywall pairs down beneath. This is one of your window sills out there. Now you're standing at the kitchen. You're looking back toward the west. Notice the flooring out there. I've got costs built in from this from an environmental standpoint. I did not notice any ACM floor tile. But I'm very concerned about the black mastic you see on the ground. It very well could be ACM mastic. Your drywall, due to the age of the building, will come in and perform inspections on it as well. I've also got the cost estimated in there for remediation. If all of that comes back, I think the total was somewhere around $18,000. If it's not needed, then we would get back to the county.
Did you just skip over the furniture intentionally?
This right here is their mechanical area, basically their heater unit in here and their hot water closet. This right here, I've got to show you this. This right here is a PVC. This right here was put on for fresh air for their heater unit out there. All of this right here will be completely replaced. We're not replacing the heater. What we're going to do is keep it and just put an A-coil up on the top portion up here in order to cool the complex. This right here is the ceiling of that area. What we're going to do on this project, even though it's within the ETJ, the City of Amarillo, we will bring everything up to code. You've got to have a hard ceiling in this particular room right here with fresh air, for which the PVC you seen a while ago. Kitchen area, the only thing to be done in here would be a few of the appliances. All the cabinetry, the countertops is fairly new. We'd be keeping that. Your walls would be retextured, skim coated, and painted. This is northwest office. Very poor condition. Paneling dates back to the 60s. This right here is also that same office, for which is a general purpose, I believe, room they can work out of. Now you're standing back in the fire bay. The white insulation that you're seeing up top right here where my cursor is, that is a different roof level of your administrative versus your barn. So what I'm proposing right here, you'll see a complete insulation to see. All this will be removed, all this red wall. We will completely reface this entire wall from right to left all the way across this, and you'll see a few shots in a few moments. This right here is some of the wiring that you will notice throughout the area, or throughout the entire building. I'm going to say it was there before y'all moved in. So the wiring out there, you're getting a brand new electrical complete wiring project out of it. Everything will be removed and completely redone. New 200 amp distribution. The restroom right here is very, very small in size. It will be gutted out. Your restroom and your shower is anticipated to be one larger room. The door look familiar? That's a door from the county courthouse that y'all paid to have reproduced that was used out here. Shower. This is the showers within your shower area. Notice the little drainage right through your shower right here. That right there is the actual drain. This drains, from what I understand, to two 55-gallon drums outside, referred to as a French well. In turn, they had a septic system right adjacent to it, the line. So we're looking to remove all of that to put it up to code to where they can get the proper drainage out there. So all concrete in these two rooms will be completely removed. This right here is some of the mold that's currently building up within the shower room out there. This right here is due to some previous work done through the years when another contractor had came out and not properly reflashed the side of the building. Sheet metal. Some things we will correct. You're standing in the fire bay looking back toward the south wall. I'm just giving you a sign of all the old insulation up there where my cursor is right in front of the fire truck. You're going to see some sheet metal right there. It as well will be removed. We will have plywood, 3/4 inch plywood from ground level all the way up to right above this girth right here in order to give them something to hang their items on. This particular picture right here shows your second floor level to your left. It's also right here. It's a little deck area. They have a weight room located beneath it where they exercise. Notice the insulation on the west wall right there is just in very poor condition. Your electrical wiring. This right here is all the wiring going into your main electrical panel. Two different types of insulation you can see right here. There's been a lot of patchwork done on this building out here through the years in order to get it to where it does not leak air. Notice on the west building, closure strips must not have been a thing at that time. This is what you would put in to protect the wind or rain or snow from getting in the building. There's been a lot of foam used out there in order to seal all the cracks, air leaks within the building. Now I'm up on the upper deck looking down toward the restroom, the shower. This wall, red wall you see will be completely removed. We'll reskin that entire wall with plywood. We'll rework the gas lines. This right here is up on that second floor deck looking back toward the west. You can see a lot of the sunlight coming in through right there. Losing a lot of efficiency. We'll replace the floor on the upper deck. This particular unit heater right here will be removed. We will reinstall it with one just like this. That right there is a early 1960s plumbing. Will be replaced with a sink. Okay, so on the exterior of the building, you're going to be refacing the north face of the building, everything outlined in blue. The east side of the building, for which you will not see in these pictures, has already been reskinned. We'll completely replace the 2 windows outlined in blue with new. The signage, the entire north face will be completely replaced. This is your west elevation. Everything in blue will be replaced. Items in 2 will be in red will be removed. These are just fill-ins through the years, and you'll get 2 new windows on this side. South elevation replaced. Your red is your main distribution electrical service coming in. So now we're down to the end of it. Basically, I've just kind of shown you some of the general descriptions that has been written for this project on the required work. We have worked with local contractors in order to obtain all of this cost. Pat? Richard?
So bulldozing this is not an option?
No. You've got a steel structure out there. The steel structure is very good. The concrete slab is good. Depending on what Pat presents to you, I would highly recommend the Commissioners Court to consider putting money back into this building. Very good structure. You buy you time for future down the road replacement building.
Are we looking at also, Mike, once we began a turnkey, just start and work through to completion?
I would highly recommend that on that due to disrupting the fire department's operations out there once you start to go through it.
We got this building 96,
Yeah, 95.
95, 96 for taxes. For many years, we had almost no budget at all for buildings. And a lot of this work that was done, the volunteers did, they would go to this construction project or that construction project, and load parts off of them, bring it in. They originally tore down part of the building that's there. It was in very bad shape, some of that sheet metal on the outside. We came up several years ago and we started replacing some of the metal on the one side I can show you of the building where the truck bay doors are. And we were taking money at the end of the year. As we got to the end of our budget, we would take a chunk of $5,000 or $6,000 to replace part of it. We were trying to continue that, and we ran into it a couple of years ago. We got to the spot where there was too much money involved for us to do that. I think the next spot we hit was $14,000. In the process of looking at Station 3 and everything else we've done, we were asked to look at all of our buildings and prepare analyze all our buildings and see what we thought could be done about it. And when we really looked at 6, and Mike came out and looked at it with us, the steel of the building, the red iron on the inside of it, is in pretty good shape. It just doesn't look good. And the electrical is horrible. When we do electrical work now, we try to keep it all up to code. We don't claim any electrical work that's been done on this building much. So we got with Mike and we went through it and looked at what it would take to redo the outside and to bring the utilities up to the plumbing and all that up to par on it. And when we looked at our buildings, our suggestion on many of our buildings is to replace them. But with this building, it was pretty high on our list to replace because of the shape it's in. But by doing this, we bumped it to the bottom of the list, which with the schedule that I prepared was 10 or 12 years. And it might possibly be farther in the future than that. But that was our purpose for this project. It brings it up to, it brings the electrical up, which is the biggest problem in the plumbing, and then cosmetically it makes the building look better, which is a better situation for our volunteers. Makes it more pleasant to be there, makes them like to hang out there and that kind of stuff.
The cost of $293,000. Pat and I went through value engineering last week. That I believe was actually $348,000, $350,000. We actually reduced it by that much by already starting value engineering. But I think we're at the point right now. We're at the limit. I mean, as far as reducing it, I don't see much more reduction unless it's a change through the actual construction.
Turnkey at 293.
Yes, sir.
And Pat, wouldn't you say that, I'm looking at some of my old photos from last year budget session. I would say Station 2 is also a problem. I'm looking at some of those photos.
All of our stations are a problem except for 4 and next year 3. What we've done is we've gone to look at each station and the equipment they house, basically the use of the station, how many calls they run. And we've looked at what's going to be the most important stations for us to pay attention to first. Station 3 is going to give us some breathing room in the central part of the county. Station 1 is going to be a priority with the Bushland area growing up as fast as it has. And Station 6 is a priority. We've got one of our busiest stations in a building that if it rains, the floor is covered in water. So we're trying to pay attention to our high use, high frequency operations first.
So, refresh my thought process. Pat, you mentioned 10 or 12 years moving forward. Are you talking about the whole infrastructure as far as the fleet that we have of the fire stations, or at one in particular?
The plan that we did, that we worked on, we put 6 in to do this year, possibly look at replacing Station 1 next year, by budget years. And then we looked at the other stations on down the line and what it would take to do those. And with the work we're doing here, this bumps this to the very end. And to address the Station 2 issue, it's on there to have some work done on it fairly quickly in the situation, fairly quickly in our schedule.
And what we've done is we've looked at this and we've prepared for the future. We're looking ahead and trying to set up a timetable on when it would be nice to do this. We understand that it's not going to happen to the timetable we put on paper, but we're trying to set priorities and look ahead to see if we can repair this station instead of replace it. We're looking at saving, half the cost of what it would cost us to build a new station. So that too bumps it a little higher on the priority list, because if we can make it last longer, then it may be a problem that goes away for us for a while.
And Chief, do you think we're premature in tackling this station, knowing that the primary project, we don't have timelines to even kind of turn the dirt, if you will?
I agree with you. And that's where we're at, is we're in the planning phase of this, and we want to bring it to you to tell you this is not something we're saying has to be done today.
Right.
You look at that station and, you can hear everybody around the room laughing. That's what the fire department is the laughing stock. And we're going to hope to change that into the future. But until we bring our issues out and let people see them, they're never going to know. Mm-hmm. So that's what we're trying to do, is just let you know that in the future, this building is going to be a problem. Station 1 is a problem. Station 2 is a problem. So we're just trying to, chart a course, I guess you could say.
So quickly, and as far as the whole strategic plan, as far as the infrastructure of the fleet that's out there right now, you have that post on paper timeline from beginning to optimistically.
What would be nice, yeah.
End.
Yeah, and that's what we did, is we set a timeline up for it, but it's just like everything else in the fire service, it's completely adjustable. Something may happen that devastates one of the stations, it moves our priority list. Right. But the fact is, we're trying to plot a course of how to go about doing this, and Station 6 became a higher priority due to the fact that we think the building is salvageable.
Okay.
And what I would add to that, Commissioner, that I don't think we maybe have necessarily done well, and not intentionally, but when we have had the strategic planning conversations, we've traditionally focused on the big buildings, if you will. So I'm even thinking of the committee, Commissioner Kelly, that you and I sit on, and we have not been all encompassing of the fire and rescue.
Right.
And so maybe that's an opportunity to kind of bridge that so that those timelines mold together.
Yeah, and that's what
and
that's what I'm trying to do, is we went ahead and started on this project because we looked at it and we saw the need. And at the time, we had no idea where Station 3 was going, where the project was going. So because we had this already planned, we went ahead with it. And that's what I'm saying, is we're not standing here expecting this to be done today. We're just telling you that this is a problem that will need to be addressed in the future. And it may need to be addressed before we move on to some of the other stations that have problems too.
That's fair.
Okay.
I think one thing that's interesting is that we have, you guys help me, how much, what's the value of the equipment we have sitting in a $20,000 piece of junk?
Yeah, I've got it.
It's a sad situation.
There is